Okay, first I'd like to thank all of you for coming, and I hope you all had a good time, and very glad to see you all here. But on a more serious note, most of you know me pretty well, and you know that I'm welcoming this opportunity to get in front of you and to share some very deep and emotional insights. Not. To be honest with you, this whole party came about as a miscommunication between Adrian and myself. A couple of years ago, Adrian came up to me and said, you know, Dad, for my 13th birthday, I'd really like a really big party. I'd like to invite all the friends and families and really have a good time at a fancy place. I looked at her and I said, Adrian, party? You wish. Well, as it turns out, she thought I said party Jewish and decided to have a Bat Mitzva. Of course, Rachel and Adrian deserve all the credit for what you're seeing here today. They put in a tremendous amount of time and effort in preparing all these decorations, and you can appreciate it, and I can appreciate it. But what I really don't understand is the amount of time that Rachel and Adrian put in looking for dresses. I mean, if I can quote Seinfeld, hey, what's the deal with dresses? I mean, they've been in every shop, tried on every dress in the city of St. Louis. I mean, really, it's not like as if they were shopping for a fishing rod. But Adrian's had to learn a lot about the religion and everything for this ceremony today, and it really makes you realize that the paradox that kids today are in. I mean, with the new high-tech society that they live in today, and then trying to learn the old biblical world, it's really tough to get them both together. And, well, like the first time that Adrian heard the story of Adam and Eve in the Bible, and heard that God talked to him and forbid them to use the apple. And she looked at me and said, well, Dad, couldn't they just use an IBM instead? And they get better. They get worse, actually. And when she first heard about the great flood in the Bible, she came up to me one day and said, you know, Dad, I bet Noah went broke. I said, what do you mean Noah went broke? He said, well, didn't he build this huge boat and put it on the water? I said, yeah. And didn't he get 2 of every kind of animal he could find and fill up the boat with those? I said, yeah. I said, well, what do you mean he went broke? And he said, well, Dad, he said, who did he expect was going to pay to go on a riverboat casino that smelled that bad? Being around Adrian as she prepared for this Bat Mitzvah taught me quite a bit about the religion that I never knew about before. And it led to some pretty strange conversations along the way. Like one time we were sitting at breakfast one morning, and she said, Dad, you know, I'd like to have a Passover meal. I said, fine, pass over the bacon. She asked me what I thought about her staying on a kibbutz for a while. And I said, well, that looks like sounds like a really great way to see the country, but why not ride in the locomotive car instead? Everyone knows that Adrian had to learn a lot of Hebrew for today, but some of you may not know that she's also taking Spanish in school this year. And as a result, she kind of gets them mixed up sometimes, which you can imagine. Like last week, we took her to Taco Bell. She ordered a chopped liver burrito and an order of refried matzah. Anyways, Adrian's taught me a lot about the Hebrew language over the last few days, few weeks, few years, but I still get confused about some words. In fact, just a few minutes ago, I told Rachel, I said, you know, Rachel, you better have a word with the cook here. She said, why? What's wrong here? And I said, well, I keep hearing everybody saying muscle tough, muscle tough. I said, I don't know who got them, but evidently there's a lot of chewy oysters going around tonight. I was relieved when Adrian said I wouldn't have to wear a yarmulke today, because I tell you, I was dreading going through that ceremony with a Japanese motorcycle on top of my head. She cleared up a few other things to me too. I found out that chutzpah is not really a jacuzzi for gangsters. Shalom is not a fancy move you do on skis. The other day, she got a present in the mail and took it to her room to open it up. Next thing I knew, she was running down the hall shouting, "It's a Torah! It's a Torah!" Well, if you knew Adrian and how much pizza she eats, you could understand why I figured she just had turned Italian overnight. I said, "Hey, if it's a Torah, give it to your mama, maybe she can amend it." But seriously, or as serious as I'm going to get, I've got a little poem that I'd like to read. Kind of follows in the same venue here. A religious fanatic I'm not. I haven't been to temple a lot. I speak little Yiddish, have never said Kiddush, nor in recent memory has any Albot. But Adrian's chosen a different course. She knew it'd be tough, but she showed no remorse. Though I didn't do it, Rachel never went through it. Her commitment we proudly endorse. This party, of course, was the key to how quickly her true motives we'd see through. But I said I'd be thrilled, I'd be glad to be billed, just don't ask me for help with your Hebrew. The movie theme's quite apropos. How the critics will view it, we know. In her dramatic debut, her errors were few. 5 stars, she put on quite a show. Will her religiousness continue? We'll see. Will she be active in temple? Could be. I just hope if her piety gets her closer to the Almighty, she'll put in a good word for me.